Final topic of the day, the Sacramento Kings. I want to do like a Kings check-in because it feels like the Kings fan base is like losing their minds a little bit, like jumping off the wagon because they lost to Portland, frankly. Like it feels like that's the main reason. This team's still 17-12. They lost the last two to Memphis and Portland by double digits, but things are still good. Prior to that, they'd won 9 of 13, including wins over Minnesota, Golden State, Denver, Oklahoma City, and 2 against Phoenix. To this point, the Kings have played the 6th toughest schedule in the league. They were missing De'Aaron Fox for, I think, 7 of those games, and they're still 17-12.
Yep. With a slow start from Keegan Murray. A slow start from Keegan Murray as well.
Like, if I was a Kings fan, like, I'd be like, wow, like, this is fine. You know, like, this is great. Like, we're all clear right now. The schedule's going to ease up at some point. Like, they're going to have a tough schedule because they play in the West and they play, you know, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Warriors, and the Suns 4 times each, which is going to make it harder. Schedule's always going to be tough. But I think that they have been really quite good over this stretch of like 15 or so games, even if the record is like 9-6 over that stretch. And the big reason is obviously De'Aaron Fox. I mean, what have you thought of Fox when you've watched him?
Yeah, I mean, he's absolutely incredible. Another guy who I don't give him enough credit, I think, at times whenever I think about who the best players in the NBA are. And, you know, right now he's averaging over 30 a game on 49, 40, 74, almost 5 rebounds, 6 assists, turnovers under 3. His improvement as a 3-point shooter is crazy because if you look at per 100, he's gone up 4 attempts per 100% possessions, and it's a 7% improvement. And you add a 3-point shot like that with how fast and shifty he is, it's unbelievable. And he has this ability to score over bigger defenders. He finds the right angles off the backboard. It's just impossible to stay in front of a dude that is that fast, that shifty, and can shoot from 3 the way he has so far this season. Kudos to him to working on that. It doesn't just happen and he's awesome. He is so good. He's been incredible since he returned to the lineup or joined the lineup.
Yeah. And like the synergy with Sabonis is still unbelievable. Like they're so fun to watch. I find the numbers with Sabonis and Fox really interesting and always have. This season, when Fox is on the court, the Kings win by 3 points per 100 possessions. When he's off the court, they lose by 5.4 per 100 possessions. When Sabonis is on the court without Fox, they lose by 6.3 points per 100. When Fox is on the court without Sabonis, they are a plus 2.8. Together, they're a plus 3. You throw in last year too, Sabonis without Fox plus 1.9 points per 100 possessions. Fox without Sabonis plus 3.5 points per 100 possessions. To me, especially this year, De'Aaron is the one that's driving it right now. Like every time I watch them, I'm like, this is De'Aaron's show. No disrespect to Sabonis, who I think has been a top 5, top 6 center in the league, to be sure. Like I would have him below Embiid, Jokic, Gobert, like a couple others. He's in that like top 5 mix for sure. Sabonis is a great player. It's Fox though that has taken this and is like completely run with it, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. Like I think when I think of the Sacramento Kings and the guy and all of that, like I definitely think De'Aaron Fox right now. Maybe that's the way everybody has.
Porzingis as well in the center conversation.
I was looking through. He was really good last night. Another person I want to bring up is Malik Monk. And I don't know if we're done talking about De'Aaron Fox yet, but I think every time I watch, I really enjoy watching Malik Monk. He's averaging 14 points, shooting the ball, not great overall, 42%, but 40% from 3. And what I've come away impressed with is his passing. Like he has some real wiggle and shit to his game. He passes the ball well. I think the 6th man of the year race is going to be real interesting across the NBA in general. I'm just kind of interested to see how that shakes out. There's been some guys that are really putting up good numbers off the bench, and he's one of them. So I think he's been a big part of this as well, along with Fox, Sabonis. And then, like I said, Keegan Murray to start the year struggling for, his expectations, but over the last 12 games has just been incredible shooting the ball. And I think we talked about this. We felt like he was going to, come back to what he, showed us as a rookie.
I think that is absolutely right. Keegan, the bounce back. Look, when we did the rookie conversation, a month ago or so, the thing that we talked about was that Keegan looks way better on defense and the shooting is going to come around. Like there's no reason for panic on Keegan Murray at all. The bounce is here. Prior to what was a total stinker across the board from everybody other than Domantas Sabonis against the Portland Trailblazers, Keegan Murray had been averaging 20.9 points on 55, 49, 85 shooting over his past 10. He's been the exact archetype and the exact player that you want in between De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Like he has been borderline like star quality over the course of that run. And he had that 47-point game against Utah where he drilled 12 threes and was like unconscious entirely. He has been awesome. The big thing I want to talk about, though, is the improvement on defense. He looks so much better on defense. He has gotten so much better at fighting around screens, getting over the top of them. He has gotten way better and quicker, I think, particularly with his first stride on defense. Like, I think that last year at times, if you had a first step, you had a real quick first step, you could kind of get by him initially, and then he'd be in recovery and have to use his length and like kind of his body to try and get back into the play. His first stride now, I think, is so quick on his slide that he really stays in front of guys now in a really tangible way. He's able to like crowd them and like get into their space now. And because he's so physically strong, that ability to crowd and that first step quickness improvement really makes it hard to get by him and really makes him disruptive on the perimeter as a defender on the ball. I think he has been, honestly, I think Keegan Murray has been one of the most improved defensive players in the NBA that I have seen this season, just point blank, full stop.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing as you guys are watching the games, like really one thing I always watch, I guess is the way I should say it is it a guy that slides and tries to cut off the offensive player right away, or is it a guy that immediately opens his hips? Because, a guy that immediately opens up completely like a 90-degree turn on almost like a pivot, you're just giving up straight line drives all the time. I always look for guys who really take that long first stride step to the side to really cut off. The more you can make a player change direction, the more success you're going to have in general. Not that obviously NBA players are capable of this, but yeah, the thing with Keegan is, he had the back stuff. He's taking a bigger defensive load that probably contributed to the slow start. The fact he's been able to recover the shooting as quickly as he has is pretty darn impressive. And if he's going to be able to do this offensively while taking some of the matchups he's being asked to take, like that's an incredible two-way value for the Kings. And as you said, is the perfect guy to put in between Sabonis and Fox. And so I will say he's surpassed what I thought he was going to be as an NBA player with the movement shooting and some of that stuff. And then you add like real on-ball defensive value and like that's an insane two-way player. Like that's the only way I can say it.
Yeah, and look, as we're talking here, like let's just be transparent. Like the Kings are down 10 in Atlanta right now. And Atlanta's 12 and 18. And again, like Kings fans are gonna continue to melt down about this. I think where I'm at on Sacramento is just where we open this conversation. Just like slow down. Like I think it's going to be fine. I really think it's going to be okay for the Sacramento Kings. Like they're sitting here, even if they lose this game, they'll be at 17 and 13 road games, East Coast. Like that's not the easiest little run. Like I think that this is fine. I really do. I would just, calm down a little bit. Just don't overreact to like a little 3-game blip here. I think that they're still like a fine team.
Do you think there's a move at some point with them? I mean, you have Sabonis, you have Fox, you have Murray.
Look, they have to improve the defense somehow at some point. I don't know if it's at the deadline or if it's moving forward in the offseason. Something like Siakam, it seems like Anunoby is not an option really. Like if you could go get a guy though that can really improve your defense, absolutely do it. Like no questions asked, in my opinion.
Yeah, I just wonder, I've seen some stuff around Herter with like people not being, super crazy about, how he's playing right now. Obviously, Harrison Barnes is, a
Yeah,
little bit
to
older at
me,
31.
it's more Barnes than
Yeah.
Herter. Like, look, Herter is not playing like incredibly well, right? Like he's
Was
down
he's
to like
at 35?
35%
Yeah, that's what it is.
from three. Like it's not a great number for him, but I don't know. Like I am not as worried about them as I think like a lot of people are. And Aiden W brings up they're the only team in the top eight of either conference with a negative plus minus on the season. Yeah, I mean they were missing like a guy who's been a top 12 player in the league for the first 7 or 8 games of the year or whatever. And you look at the loss totals there, like they lost by 18 to Houston, lost by 25 to Houston. Like they had like a couple of those really, really negative losses there that I think like probably threw it out of whack a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think what you talk about in terms of missing him, Murray off to the slow start, I think that all provides context into why you wouldn't be crazy nervous about a team that is 17 and 12 as we record, potentially 17 and 13 whenever we get done. But like, there's the context there of if you had those guys, Fox from the start of the year and Keegan was hooping from the start of the year and they still weren't figuring it out, then I think maybe it's like, okay, maybe there's a little more cause for concern here. But let's see it play out for another month before it's like, oh, panic button. We have to go do something drastic.
Yeah, and like I say this as somebody that like had real concerns about the Kings coming into the year. Like I think that they've looked good. Like they've looked every bit as good as what you would hope for. Again, the big thing for me is like what happens if one of these guys goes down.
Yeah.
We saw it with Fox early in the year, like it was a problem. The Kings also with their plus minus, like because of the way that they play, because of how like up tempo they're going to get. I think that their games do tend to go like, get a little blowouty one way or another a lot of the time. So, and look, like you'd love to see those blowouts be more on the positive side of the ledger. And that's how, teams like Boston, for instance, who I think also beat the Kings, if I remember correctly, by like 30 at one point this year, uh, end up with like such a positive, net rating and everything. And I think that'll happen, but like I think that the Kings are fine. Like that's like the Keegan Murray leap is very real. The De'Aaron Fox leap is very real. At some point they're gonna have to figure out what to do with Barnes, what to do with Herter, but like the core pieces here, like I would still feel okay about it if I was a Sacramento fan.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they, like I say, just try to make a move on the margins around those guys if they feel like they can find a better fit and, they have some intriguing pieces off the bench. And yeah, I think I'm with you to just see it. I mean, when De'Aaron Fox is playing this well, it's, you got to feel good. When Fox and Murray are playing this well, and then we barely gave Sabonis love just because those guys have been so good, you got to feel good about that trio and then just build around it with the right guys.
Yeah, and like to me, like if I was them, I would go for Siakam. I think Siakam's really good and continue to think Siakam's really good. I know that like it would kind of change their spacing a little bit, but I think a core of Fox, Murray, Siakam, Sabonis, like if you're going to get the most out of Sabonis, I think you need somebody that can be like a weak side help defender kind of across the board. I think that core four actually really works. And then you just be like kind of finding spacing around those guys. And the Kings have done a really good job of finding guys like Sasha Vezenkov, Trey Lyles. Keon Ellis is a guy that we haven't really brought up,
Yeah.
but Keon
Yep.
Ellis, I think, has given them pretty strong minutes this year as well. Finding guys that can be shooters at like a pretty real level and helping them out.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see that happen. Like you say, it would change the spacing a little bit, but it obviously would really help on the defensive end of the floor.